What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blizzard Reviews. Today we're taking a dive into a new release from 2024 that I had gotten a little bit later into taking a look at. Before we go into it, make sure you guys, of course, share and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this video, keep the notifications on, press the little bell button. Make sure you're checking me out on TikTok and Instagram as well to keep up with all my daily content as well on there. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most anticipated albums to be released this year from a cosmic death metal band that completely transcends time and space as well as music. Today we're looking at the new album from Blood Incantation, Absolute Elsewhere, that came out October 25th via Century Media Records. Blood Incantation is a really cool cosmic death metal band from Denver, Colorado. They formed back in 2011 to a much greater state from the underground scene, really looking for more stuff to kind of go out there, because at this point, a lot of death metal bands were really staying more underground and cavernous dwelling style. With them, they're really going somewhere out there, something really extraterrestrial in a sense. The band first became a household name in 2019 with their album Hidden Histories of the Human Race, in which everybody and their mother wore that same 4-print long sleeve. But hey, I'm more of a fan of Starspawn, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But this is the band's 4th studio album that they have, a follow-up to their 2022 album, Luminescent Bridge, which is much more of an ambient style of metal, but still pretty good. A lot more, a lot of 80s sci-fi interludes established in that release. This one kind of brings back to form what the band is more used to, but with like a lot more reachingness into 70s prog. The band is really able to capture the sound of just what the emptiness of dead space really sounds like through the music, really bringing a different chilling aura with their riffs and their songs. Absolute Elsewhere really brings us back to a sort of familiarity that we have with Blood Incantation and some of their previous released music. It's not really seen a lot in death metal, but I feel like in this sense, it really kind of showcases the band's way to articulate and dive into different territories and really bring out something cool and cruel and heavy that kind of like between a strange love child between Russia's 2112 and their 2016 release Starspawn. Progressive rock elements are really a big key theme throughout this, which is why I have like Pink Floyd here, because I don't have the new album, as well as I needed an album with a pyramid. So we're doing Pink Floyd. The elements for prog rock are really seen out through this entire album, not just in song material, but as well as the album's title name, taking the name of a progressive rock group, Absolute Elsewhere, for the album title. But also in just the ways the album is able to construct itself, with this album being mainly of two tracks that are both over 20 minutes long each on the side A and side B accordingly. Each tracks are divided into 3 sections that they call tablets, which is a pretty cool concept to me. The album is over 43 minutes long, which does make this the band's longest album, going between, Stargate 1, 2, 3, even with the solos like at the beginning of Stargate Part 1. Like, you have this almost beautiful David Gilmour-esque solo that you would hear normally at the end of like A Comfortably Numb, which is so much emotion going into it. It really kind of sets the stage for what the rest of the album is going to become. Stargate 2 just opens up how we know it, just going to be old school sounding cosmic death, where the band's death metal aspects are much influenced in the vein of Dominion era Morbid Angel, as well as influence with Gore Guts and a lot more of the spacier type of 90s sounding death metal. This is definitely one of the band's most technically driven albums for sure, especially with layering all these electric synthesizers and interludes and phasers that are going through in and out the record. Kind of brings the album to a whole new light. The song Stargate kind of really has a really cool comparison with 2112, just based in not only song structure, but as well as tempo, as mood and emotion, with this incredible, insane progression and progression with drumming, sounding very reminiscent of what Neil Peart would have sounded like if he was in, a cosmic death metal band. There are moments in this album where I feel like 1 minute I am listening to a pretty cool 70s prog track, but then I'm absolutely switched 180 into just straight cavernous death metal, and it is absolutely insane. Like, there are moments in this where I feel like I'm not even listening to 70 music. I feel like I'm listening to sort of like even old school RuneScape, because I feel like the synthesizers that are going on into it, but the band is really able to still reach out with these things, which I think is absolutely just incredible. I will say, the music video for Stargate really does bring justice to what the listener is going to be expecting for the first half of this album. Being in this album, just this incredible story of man's creation, trying to find its place in the universe, but also being worshipped to, like, some sort of space deity that is, something bigger than them, but still trying to find their own way as well. And the last bit of is the Stargate trilogy in chapter 3 that really ends everything with this first half of the album, and really has the listener questioning what else is to come from this, and if there's something even bigger than me out there in the world. I also do feel like with the second half of this album, with the message, the band really dives a lot more into the instrumental parts of it, between the blistering guitar solos and the insane drumming, adding in these Spanish guitar interludes with these sort of tribal drums as well, with bongos and the sort of, Central America styled music integrated as well. Really kind of just brings out this different sort of uniqueness to the album. Really kind of gives the listener of a, ooh, what's this happening right now sort of mentality. But still absolutely insane stuff from Blood Incantation. I know a lot of people have wanted to make comparison to this album with Pink Floyd, especially with Dark Side of the Moon, which I think is fair to say, because of the whole pyramid thing and the way that the album itself tells a story as well. I do think that there are a lot of great influences with progressive rock in there, whether that be from Yes or Iron Butterfly. I don't really have a lot of prog in my collection, but really wanted to kind of understand a little bit more what this album is, so I had to kind of go back through what I would describe as, my dad's records. Like, this is something that, like, this definitely feels like it could be this new album really kind of feels like that could fit into what my dad would have listened to, in a sense. This is definitely something that he would definitely look into and listen to and find some really cool comparisons and sort of similar grounding on between a lot of Yes, Rush, Pink Floyd, whatever it may be, to this new album from Blood Incantation. From going from this old school death metal sounding songs to a beautiful Spanish guitar interlude at some points, the band is slowly layering these different types of elements on top of each other and just increasing the intensity over time, but then kind of kicks in just into screaming old school death metal with this blistering guitar solo that kind of blasts the listener back to reality of what's really happening. And what really is happening is that this is a death metal record, and this is Blood Incantation, and we just kind of trip sitting through this entire thing, per se, if you want to call it that. Once again, Blood Incantation have absolutely outdone themselves when it comes to just putting out a completely original piece of music that is really different from what you hear a lot in death metal nowadays, especially with a lot more people trying to go for that old school death metal sound. Really is a nice sort of refreshing of the ears, to say, with this new album from Blood Incantation. A lot of these newer bands are very reminiscent of trying to pull out stuff that is very in a vein of an Obituary or a Cannibal Corpse, which I love, but where they kind of go, but this band is able to go into different directions, into different regions, different nether regions, if you want to call it that, that are completely, uninhabitable by the music listener. And they reach out for multiple different inspirations to bring something completely organic that sounds completely like their own, and something that fans have really grasped a hold on to, that is a sense of familiarity with the listener. I would give this album an 8.5 out of 10. Very reminiscent of the band's 2016 Sparspawn, but very much like with the influence of 70s prog with 90s death metal in there as well. The band is going to be going out on tour this November to December with Midwife, so get your tickets for that. That's going to be the Absolute Elsewhere tour. That's going to be charted throughout the entire U.S. And yeah, so make sure you get your tickets for that. If you haven't already picked up Absolute Elsewhere, it's out now via Century Media Records. With that being said, let me know what you guys think of this album down below, and make sure you like the album. Make sure you like this video. Comment down what your favorite song is from this album, what your favorite parts are, some of the influences that you've seen throughout this album, into, you know, whatever nowadays. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my socials. Follow me on there. And I'll see you guys on the next video, next review, next whatever. Yeah. So take care. Bye-bye.